Hello. Let's talk today about one more type of holder. I marked it for myself long ago as well. I have seen it for the first time from the viewer nicknamed Martik on the site Strana Masterov. I like your tutorial. It is made with humor and it is quite all-sufficient. But because we are completing our collection on the site, we've decided to shoot a video tutorial on how to make this type of a holder, and as usual to complement it with my own notes and experiences concerning the difficulties I have faced. The holder is volumetric, nice looking, and rather practical. I have tried it on such varieties. At first such small holders. Here you can see it as well. I also like the possible ways of fixing this type of a holder. You weave it separately and afterwards tie it to the article. I have tried tying it to different surfaces, horizontal, vertical ones. I have seen it a lot used by many viewers. As usual, we address to the ones who have not mastered it yet. I believe it will be easier to follow video lesson. For making this holder we take 8 tubes. Fix them with the help of clothespins. Here we leave some space. We are going to fasten them with these tips afterwards. Distribute the 8 tubes into 4 couples. Then take the extreme left tube, draw it under all the tubes, but for the last 2. And place the tube parallel to the second couple. Take the extreme right tube, draw it under all the tubes, but for the last 2 as well. We turn before the last 2 and place it parallel. Go back to the extreme left tube again, under all the tubes, but for the last 2. Now take the extreme right tube, under all but for the last 2. We repeat very simple actions. We work with the extreme tubes every time, at first the left one, then the right one. Place them not anyhow, but in order to get identical pattern from all the sides, we place them right in this gap and in this direction. Now from here, in front of 2, these 2 extreme tubes are shifting all the time, and this way we are getting the pattern identical from both sides. If you forget from which side you have taken the tube already, then look. If you take the right tube again, then it will lie parallel and there will be no interlacing, so we have to take the left one this time. On the first holder you train, the second one will go as it is, the tube will just cry out for where it has to be. My first holder was crooked. I'm very thankful to the viewer for her interesting and humorous tutorial. I've liked it very much, but I've been always too pressed for time until now. But I see that the weavers use it very actively. It has appealed to many. You can vary the thickness of the tubes. If you need a more volumetric holder, you can roll up thicker tubes especially for the holder. Secondly, varieties of colors are very interesting as well. I've decided not to describe the schemes because I believe it will be interesting to all of you to try and experiment. Here I have used 2 colors, here I have added the third one. It depends on the way your article looks. Or it can be one colored, like I am doing this time, a yellow one. Any way you like. It is what concerns the varieties of colors. As well, I have made a bigger bag, and it has seemed to me that a holder like this will be a little too thin. So I have tried weaving with 16 tubes instead of 8. It is a little difficult. Before starting to weave with 16 tubes, you have to train well on a thin one like this, because there were some moments when I felt like giving up, but I've decided to finish it anyway. There are some places I don't like, but I've decided not to unweave it. On the example of this holder, I would like to talk about the ways of fixing. Firstly, you can fix a holder to the very article, embracing 3 rows plus edge, 4 rows. So, you embrace 4 rows, bend the tubes, insert them from one side, from the other side, and make the wrapping. I will show you how to make it in a moment. Or you can fix a holder with the help of one ring, but what I dislike about this way of fixing is that in this case the holder is not flexible enough. It does move a little, of course, but not the way I'd like it to. If you want to put the bag into a wardrobe, for example, you'd better use 2 rings, or half a ring and a ring. So, the wrapping. I insert part of the tubes through the ring from one side and part from the other side. This way we have inserted the tubes. In my case, the process is a little more difficult because of a big amount of the tubes. I bet you understand that I have to distribute all the tubes thoroughly. We distribute the tubes approximately around the whole diameter of the network to avoid clusters of tubes. I mean, to avoid being too thick in some places and too thin in the others. So we've distributed the tubes from both sides approximately smoothly. Choose the longest tubes to start with and start wrapping. I drop some glue beforehand. And start winding in a regular way. After you have distributed the tubes along the diameter. So far I have an opportunity to correct a little. Not a very nice moment, but you can adjust. Perform the wrapping. Lengthen the tube. Now, after we have fixed well enough, plus dropped some glue, I have made 4 rows of wrapping. Usually a regular clothespin works well enough, but in this case I have too many tubes. And now I cut all these tubes cautiously. Here is the reason why we had to distribute them along the whole diameter. We have to make a switch as neat as possible. And if all the tubes were concentrated in one place, there would be a hump. You cannot avoid it anyway, because you get rid of many tubes at a time, but you try to make it as small as possible. Cut the tubes very neatly, slantwise. Leave some tubes shorter and the others longer, in order to make a change more or less smooth. Help yourself with school glue and continue. You will hardly be able to make it perfectly smooth, but try your best. Now there will be a very interesting point I'd like to share. How to hide the tip neatly. Those who used to knit have to know this technique. For those who don't know or have forgotten, I'd like to remind. I was thinking of how to insert the tip carefully, and then I recollected the way I used to make pompons. For the first time I took a tube, but then I realized that it can break. So I have taken not a thread, because it can break the paper while pulling, but a hemp rope. Actually, here the varieties are possible. You take 2 or 3 coils after you have adjusted the loop. By the way, you don't have to pull these 2 or 3 coils too tight. You'd better tighten them afterwards. And after that, you thoroughly soften the tube, because it has to be very flexible for you to be able to insert it easily. And now I'm trying to pull it through these last 3 coils. As usual, I have experimented at first. My first tube got broken, I took a different kind of paper, then I take a thread, and finally I've succeeded. Look, from this side I have cut the tip already, it is almost unnoticeable. And here the tip still sticks out. Now I cover these weak places with school glue. Well, actually you can glue all the coils thoroughly. Leave it for a while, and then cut the tip. Actually, it is better to cut before it gets completely dry. Unfortunately, I failed with one yesterday. It is better to cut when it is still a little wet. In this case, you can shift the coils a little. And while the tubes are still flexible, you can hide the tip completely. So it was rather convenient and, in my opinion, neat way of fixing. I have told you about successful varieties already. A thinner one, a thicker, different varieties of colors. Now I'd like to warn you about possible mistakes, what I have faced and dislike. It is not very pleasant to talk about failures, but anyway, I hope that it can be useful and will help you to avoid mistakes. I felt like making such lawn holders. I had seen them before and I liked them very much. But now I see that our material is not flexible enough for weaving such lawn holders. I'm going to change them, I don't like the way they are. This type of a holder is good when it is short. For lawn holders I'm going to experiment again and try weaving with some cloth, leather cloth stripes, maybe some ribbons. Experimenting is still ahead. I'm going to think it over how to make lawn holders convenient for carrying over one's shoulder. So, thanks a lot to the Volumetric for her wonderful tutorial. It was very easy to learn following it. I succeeded for the first time already, and I hope that my notes will help you to avoid mistakes as well. Let's train together. Thanks to all of you for your attention. Good luck to all of you.